Inside this box, I have the best SHTF/pepper carbine that you could possibly imagine. They're rare. Ammo is getting more harder for it to find. I'll explain to you in a second what it is. FluTac starts right now. Hello, welcome to FluTac. I'm your host, Instructor Flu. Today we're going to talk about something that's very, very important, I think, on a lot of people's mind, is preparing for a potential situation where you might have to defend your family and there's a large-scale civil unrest, something that none of us want to think about, but you want to make sure you're prepared. And I'm going to reveal to you my very, very favorite and top choice for the type of prepper rifle for these type of situations. Before I get started, if you're a fan of the Second Amendment, if you're a fan of firearm safety and understand the preciousness of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, do me a favor, please subscribe and also hit that like button. Now, without further ado, my personal opinion, the best SHTF/prepper rifle is the M1 carbine, officially known as a U.S. carbine caliber 30 M1. So before you take a look at this, as always in FluTac, we're very concerned about firearm safety, so we're going to make sure the weapon is clear. The weapon is going to be placed on safe, as you can see here. Weapon's pointed in a safe direction, nobody's down there. We'll pull back down on the charging handle. Look inside the breech, and the breech is clear. We have a safe weapon here. Still pointed in a safe direction. We're going to go ahead and get rid of the case so we can take a look at this beautiful rifle. Now, right now, there's probably a couple Civil War reenactors rolling in their grave right now because this doesn't have a wooden stock on it. And just for a little bit of information, the reason I did that is because I had two wooden stocks before, both of them cracked, and I decided to get myself a champion stock, which I believe discontinued, which is made out of really light synthetic plastic here, which I really think accents it well. So let's talk a little bit about the history of the M1 carbine. So the M1 carbine, not carbine, my personal opinion, the M1 carbine was developed in the early 1940s. The military was looking for a weapon that could be in between the standard full-size cartridge of the M1 Garand, which fired a 30-06 projectile, and also between the sidearm, usually at the time was a 1911 45 ACP, and also some machine guns, which include the M1 Thompson machine gun and also the M3 grease gun. So with that being said, the main thing is that they were looking for a weapon platform that had a capability of being able to go ahead and fill that gap. Where there's people who are like mortarmen, who may be radio operators, or people who are pretty close to the front line. Their main job is like the infantry to go out there and engage and contact the enemy. But they needed something that was a little more easier to use, had a little more firepower than a pistol, and that is where the M1 carbine came in. There's a lot of people who say that this weapon itself and the projectile fires isn't necessarily potent. It does fire a 30 caliber round just like the M1 Garand, but the difference is this is more of a straight case cartridge versus the bottleneck cartridge like the 30-06. And just for understanding the differences here, the 30-06 is pretty much 7.62 by 6.3 millimeter, while the M1 was 7.62 by 33 millimeter, so a little bit smaller case. One of the great things though about this weapon is that it is a piston driven system. Even though externally it looks like a baby M1 Garand, it's not. It's a little bit different in so many different ways, which I'll talk about more here. Just a little more history about it though too. It's actually served in numerous wars. It served obviously in World War II, Korea, and also Vietnam and other places around the globe, and was also given to allies of the United States. And one of the reasons why it's been so successful is because of its lightweightness. It's one of the most lightest rifle out here, but it still offers you a chance to get the capability to reach out, touch somebody when it comes down to it. So let's go break it down a little bit and talk a little bit more. All right, so now I got myself a little screwdriver. So a couple things about the weapon. In order to get to the innards, it has a bayonet lug here, this particular model. So this particular model is actually a Winchester. I believe was made roughly in the mid 40s. When I did my research, it's kind of hard to see here, but this is where you see the information about the serial number and things such as that in the manufacturer. So this is a Winchester. Just about the M1 carbine is that there's a couple manufacturers. Right now, I think the biggest producer of the rifle is actually a Auto Ordnance, but back during the heyday, back in the 1940s during the war, there was a lot of manufacturers that really came around and actually went and manufactured to include a jukebox company named Rockola, Winchester, Auto Ordnance, and a couple other ones that came together to produce this, which really was very interesting to see just how property rights and things like that was actually put aside just for the sake of winning a war back in World War II. This particular version is the M1. Then you have the M1A1, which is a little bit of a paratrooper style stock. And then you also have the M1 A2, which was a fully automatic version that was equipped with a 30-round magazine, which was deployed in Korea conflict. And then you have the M1A3, which was really unique because it was the first time where there were corporation on a mass scale of the military trying to incorporate a night vision optics onto a weapon, and this was a platform that was chosen behind it. So let's go ahead and break this down just a little bit. So I already loosened up the barrel band that goes around here. I'm going to push this forward. So this is going to go forward here. Then from here, you're going to take off the top handguard. Once again, this is right here. This is plastic. This is a part of the Champion, I believe, stock that made this, which has screws on here for increased airflow. And then from here, you're going to take out the barrel, and you're going to separate pretty much the upper portions of the rifle from the rest of the stock. From here, you can break it down some more. So maybe a little bit hard to see, but there's a spring right here with a guide rod that goes in here. All you have to do is pull that back. This comes right out with this. And to separate it, you have your spring guide and also the spring, which pushes the piston back into operation. Going a little bit further, you can go ahead and get yourself opportunity if you want to. Take off the trigger guard assembly, which is here at the bottom. There's a little pin right here, as you see I took out. Go ahead, take that is separated. And then from here, this part's a little bit tricky, but there's a couple notches that you probably can't see here on the portion of the barrel that help you be able to go ahead and get this portion out to rotate it. There we go. So this right here is a charging handle for this. And then the last part is the bolt. And you can see the bolt. Now, there was a couple different bolts. I believe back in World War II, the initial bolt was actually more of a flat top here, I think, to probably save maybe a little more weight. I had one of those. Unfortunately, it broke the bolt face, which caused a issue out with the weapon. So I decided to get a more heftier or rounder bolt that was available. So this is a reproduction that I got from offline. And one thing about the M1 Carbine, which is still pretty cool, is that they still offer, there's still a lot of replacement parts if you need to, that's available there to be able to put it together and to upgrade and things like that. And that's really the biggest thing. So just give me 1 second. Let's put this thing back apart, and we'll talk a little bit more about why this is the perfect SHTF rifle for you. So if you're a person like me who is a person who's on a budget and you're preparing for the zombie apocalypse or economic collapse or whatever crazy scenario you might have, then you want to make sure you're able to have enough ammunition, protect yourself and those that you love, and also protect innocent lives. So this is just a standard AR-15 style ammo pouch that holds 3 AR-15 or M16 style box type magazines. You can see here. Now the cool thing that I figured out, these are 30 round magazines. YouTube does want me to go over that. But these 30 round magazines, you have 3 that fit in here for a total of 90 rounds. They're fully loaded. Now, M1 Carbine magazines, these are Korean style ones. These are also 30 round magazines. 1, 2, 3, and 4 can actually fit in here. So you're carrying an extra 30 rounds of ammunition with you in here. So in closing, real quick, the reason why you need to get this type of weapon if you want to, just consider it, is it's going to be a situation where if you need something that's light and that's maneuverable going through urban areas and things such as that nature, or you need a weapon system that's going to be rugged and reliable, and it also still has relatively good kinetic energy to do what you need to do, this weapon is going to be very, very viable, I think, for you. It has an aperture sight here. If you, I don't know if you can see it, for roughly about 300 yards or meters. I believe it's yards, and which is adjustable. But like I said, you can get other things on here to actually put it on here to put on red dots and stuff like that. I absolutely love this weapon. I love the history behind it. I love the capability that it brings to the table. Now, the biggest 2 things that people talk about is really just going to be this ammunition. One, there's a lot of course, rumors that, everybody heard a story about in Korea, there was numerous hits being taken on an enemy Korean or Chinese soldiers, and he wouldn't go down because of 30 caliber carbine. I think if you remember what this weapon was designed to do, was really supposed to be a personal defense type of weapon that was supposed to be used within relatively the gap between a full-size battle rifle and a submachine gun, so maybe within a 200, 300 yard range. I think this is going to really serve you well if you need it, and just keep that in mind. Obviously, if you're trying to reach out to get a target that's going to be a lot further, 500, 600, 800 yards, you might have some issues. And just for comparison, the standard velocity is usually for 30 caliber carbine. It's usually coming at roughly around 1900 feet per second. And some people call that wimpy, but when you think about, a lot of people call the 357 Magnum, a very powerful projectile round. That's coming on roughly approximately 1500 or so feet per second. Of course, loads vary, but so the standard 30 caliber carbine is moving easily a couple hundred feet faster than a 357 Magnum when it comes down to it. The other big drawback in C is that 30 caliber carbine is a lot more harder to find now than it used to be, particularly in stores, and there's only a few weapons that use it, so you've really got to start moving on this. But without a doubt, if I didn't have my other primary weapon, which I'll talk about in the future, this would be my go-to gun or weapon without a doubt. First come, I really think that I would not feel underpowered for particular urban scenarios most people see us in. I wouldn't feel myself being underpowered to this. It is a great weapon. I love the history about it, like I said before, and it's just good. Okay, let's get to meat and potatoes, what everybody came here for. So guys, you know what time it is. Grab your eyes and grab your ears, because it's time to go loud. All right, guys, welcome back, and you can take off your eyes and ears now. That was absolutely exciting. Like I said, I love shooting this little gun. I'm telling you guys, get these things while you can, particularly if you get yourself one from the World War II, like a Rockola or a Winchester. You will not be disappointed. I picked this up years ago for roughly about $800. I didn't want it originally, but I have no regrets with it. It is just a great weapon. With that being said, guys, thank you so much. And this channel really is designed for a brand new person new to firearms. This is a place where people can go ahead and learn, and that's the whole philosophy about FluTac. And the big thing I want you to understand this is that for firearms, where I'm really focused on teaching people safety and understanding about it, and it's not about taking life, but actually preserving it. And this is the main thing here. With this whole particular channel. So once again, if you like the content here, still want to see it, please do me a favor, hit that like button, put that bell, make sure you subscribe, and put a comment below. Will you use the M1 carbine as your primary SHTF or prepper rifle if everything fell apart? Let me know. I'm very curious. Or would you stick with the AR-15 or AK platform? Very curious to see that. So with that being said, next time, guys, we're going to talk about shotguns, and particularly one of my favorite weapons that I use within law enforcement as a standard issue weapon, and why I think it works so well, and if it's still practical for home defense. So we'll talk about that. But in the meantime, please do me a favor out there, my fellow armed citizens. Please make sure that you shoot straight, make sure you shoot safe, and do not be a victim.